What's up, everyone? You guys are tuned into Las Comadres on KROJ 101.5 FM. We just got done talking to the director of Pueblo y Salud, which is the location that our radio station is hosted, none other than Ruben Rodriguez. And we were talking about the sanctuary city ordinance that is being proposed in San Fernando. And there's a council meeting, a follow-up council meeting happening March 17th. And we were just talking about what to expect and what we felt and just chatting it up about, what it feels like right now, being a part of the city of San Fernando. And so speaking of the city of San Fernando, we have with us here none other than our guest, DeyaWorldWide, Azeneth.
Ooh, in the house.
Hey. And then accompanying her, we have the one and only Zayurit.
Hi.
And so, how are you guys doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a little nervous, but I've been looking forward to this, so I'm really excited to be with y'all.
Yeah, we're super excited too. Both of you have been just like people that I really look up to in the community. I didn't really get to know you guys until this last year, and actually like just recently, we've been in community with each other, crossing paths, but I really love what you do, Deya. I love your platform. But outside of your platform, your job, your work, the type of environments that I catch you in, it's always super grassroots. And so, dude, like it just feels like you're one of us, like we're in the same spaces, So with that being said, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, yourself as a person, and then as a professional, and then as an artist. So
wow, so many roles. Hi, everyone. Well, my name is Azeneth Martinez. That's where the Deya comes from, right? And I'm a Mexican artist. I was born in Torreon, Coahuila. So shout out to my family. I know they're watching. I hope they downloaded the app. I came to LA when I was 10. But I always carry my culture with me. And I feel like for a lot of years, like I kept a lot to myself. Not only for fear, but I always been super straightforward, like focus. So I wouldn't like really share a lot about me. But I always really like missed who I was and like what I left in Mexico, right? Not only like my family or like my friends, but you leave so much, right? And I was 10, so I'm able to remember a lot of things. But growing up in my city or in my town, they would call me Deya. And you know how here they call you by your first name? So I've always will wonder like, oh, these people, although they were really close to me, they never knew Deya. And to me, it was like a magical thing. Like only certain people know Deya. And I always felt like Deya was like not another person, but she was like a special part of me that only the people that really, really loved me or really, really cared for me knew about, right? And when I was little, it's funny because I was thinking of this last time. When I was little, I had a lot of friends in my neighborhood. And I don't know if my sister is listening, but we used to play outside, and then I would hang out with all the kids, and we used to scream, pura banda, pura banda. So since I was little, I've been very loud and very like, I think play could take you to a lot of places. So I always like to have fun and be loud and dance and do different things. So that was Deya. But Azeneth was here, right? So it was more like, I got to get good grades. I gotta do good. So Azeneth has always been more like my professional side.
Yeah.
I have a degree in urban planning and Chicano studies and GIS. I'm a freaking double major. So I feel like Azeneth always knew that she had to be like disciplined and work really hard, right? But whenever I need a connection, I will connect with Deya. So yeah, school was difficult for me because I'm an immigrant. So it's not, you don't have the same opportunities, and you have to find different pathways and just different ways to make it through, right? But I mean, that's what we are. Like we make it work one way or another. And even I met Alex when I was working in a restaurant. Shout out to Tres Hermanos.
Aquí in San Fernando.
Yeah, in San Fernando. I worked in Tres Hermanos and in Papa Juan's, in many different places. In Canoga Park at Poncho's, my favorite restaurant. So just like finding different ways to like hustle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then DeyaWorldWide came by. And it started like in 2021. So I graduated school in 2020. Okay. I didn't walk on stage, nothing, because of the pandemic, right? And I had moved out of my parents' house. So it was really lonely because it wasn't what I was used to anymore. And it was really lonely because of the pandemic. So I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna move out, and then I'm gonna have all my friends over. And it's like, no, nobody could come inside your house, girl.
Yeah.
And and just seeing like what was happening in my community, like Coima was the highest affected in COVID, right?
Yeah, we were just talking about that
with
Ruben.
Yeah. And I remember Ruben coming here for the Black Lives Matters.
Yeah.
I used to come here to the meetings that they used to have.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of that. Also the food bank. I used to come here. Yeah. And even way back, like maybe, I don't want to lie on dates, but I want to say 2017 when it was Familia del Valle, like way back. So I was like little. Yeah. But I was always like a crazy child. Like I would get in trouble, but I was so smart, and also like get into like different spaces. And that's when I started Deya. And I would draw, so because I was so by myself and I had nothing else to do, I would draw. And I never knew I knew how to draw. I just thought I knew how to color. But my friends would always want to keep my drawings, and I was like, okay, whatever. I feel like they do that with everyone, you know. And they were like, can I have this? And I was like, yeah, just take it. And one time my friend took a drawing and made it into a sticker. One of my drawings, like he just printed it into a sticker. And I was like, wow, like, I like this sticker, you know? And I love stickers and stuff like that. And then that's how Deya started. I saved $100 and I made 7 shirts. And I told myself, if I could sell these 7 shirts, like, it's going to help me pay my rent. And if I'm going to be good. So I dropped my first shirt and I sold 31 shirts.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And your goal was 7?
Yeah, my goal was 7. I was like, nice. if I could sell the 7, I'm going to make my $100 back and more. And I was like, I'm gonna be set, you know. And I remember, like, I still remember that night when I sell the money, the $100 to make the payment. I closed my eyes and I said, like, I had no more money. Like, it was always that, like, when you end up with no money, like, something happens, you know. And I sell the $100 and I just told myself, please, that I could sell 7 shirts, because that's how many I ordered. And I dropped it. I didn't even have a page yet, nothing. And I dropped it and I sold 31 shirts. Wow. Yeah. And people picked them because it was still COVID, 2021. But it was still COVID. Yeah. But like different than 2020, right?
Yeah.
So people picked them up. Shout out to anybody that has the OG shirt. But people picked them up outside of Summer High School.
Wow.
I had a little wagon. My roommate had a baby at the time. She had those baby wagons. So I had no car, no nothing. So I walked to Summer High School. And then in my little wagon, 31 shirts one night. Yeah, like people picked them up.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like reaffirming.
Yeah.
But it was also scary because it was the first shirt.
Yeah.
So I was like, everyone's going to want to support because it's the first one. But to this day, I could really say it hasn't stopped. So it's something that I know is a blessing, and I try not to take it for granted, and I'm really thankful.
Wow, Azeneth.
Yes.
So many things that I want to respond to and like what you just shared. But let's pace ourselves.
Yes.
I want to start by like talking about your name. Right? The connections that you have to your names, the different identities that you hold with your names. I think that I would say, I don't know, but I can't speak for Alex, but I think all of us in this room have a similar story with our names, you know? Where like my comadre Tere over here, I learned that like my comadre, like a lot of her family calls her Tere. And so she's my bestie. So when I learned that, I was like, no, I'm your family, so I'm calling you Tere now.
Because my name is Maria.
Like, we just spoke about this.
I'm like, no. Now I call you Tere because this, like, I'm family, you know? But, like, there's that identity there. And then Zayurit, you know, like, there's Zayurit, Zayuko.
Oh, yeah.
Zayuko.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, that was your grandpa's name for you, and you know, like you have that like connection of like, this is who you connect to, this is who you are in this version of yourself. And I remember just recently we're talking about like, Dan, like you haven't heard nobody call you that name since your grandpa passed. And like for me, like the Dioselina, Diosy, like it's different. Like I didn't grow up in Mexico. Like I didn't, you know, like I don't have like a cultured name. My first name is Cristal, you know, but like I grew up kind of feeling like, oh, like I'm lucky to have a generic name. Yeah. Pero después, like when I got older and I started having like that identity crisis that we all have when we grow up in the States, that's kind of where Diosy came to life. Mm-hmm. And Diosy is the most like me version of me that I've been. And yeah, like I feel like I definitely, you know, sometimes I need to be Crystal, and sometimes like I need to connect to Crystal, but for the most part, like I'm really happy with like Diosy, with Dioselina, like these spaces that I've grown into as this person. You know, it's beautiful to have these identities within ourselves. And so I just want to celebrate that. I want to celebrate, you know, like the different identities that we carry, that we transform into, that, you know, we just become. And sometimes it's like un apodo que te da a friend. Sometimes it's like a family member. And sometimes it's just your actual name, you know? But with that being said, I want to remind everybody that you guys are listening to KROJ 101.5 FM. You guys are listening to Las Comadres. I'm Comadre Diosy, and I'm here with
Comadre Maria.
And
Comadre Alex.
And
Deya.
And
Zayurit.
Comadre Deya and Comadre Zayurit.
Over here talking about names.
But so that was like my first initial reflection, and I'll keep that reflection. Do you guys want to say any reflections from, you know, any questions, anything that you guys have for Deya, my hosts?
Yeah, I wanted to know, I know you spoke about your name and sort of how that brand came out, but can you tell me a little bit about your personal philosophy, like your sort of personal message, your manifesto, for those who don't know you yet, who are getting to know you? How would you say that your name sort of relates to your philosophy and to your message that you want to get across to people that don't know you?
Yeah, so I think for like my first name, Azeneth, it's like it could be a whole different conversation. But if we talk about like DeyaWorldWide,
yes,
it was, so my whole thing is, can I say bad words? No. Okay. No. So the whole,
thank you for asking.
Thank you. Yes. So the whole thing is, I draw global doors that don't mess with borders. And Deya represented my childhood and like my connection with Mexico and my family in Mexico. And one time when I was in school, I made like this beautiful project, and I think it got to travel somewhere far. And I remember the professor told me like, hey, like if like everybody liked your project, like you could go to the museum. And I just told him thank you, but he didn't know I couldn't travel. So gotcha. I just thought it was so crazy that art could travel, like but that was part of me, right? Because people were learning about me in a different part of the world where I couldn't even be in. So Deya is that, like my art is everywhere, right? Like
I got chills.
It's transcending borders. I think
yes.
is what you're. It's not just you because you have your Mexican culture and your Mexican heritage, but you want to spread that knowledge and that culture and that love that you have for your culture across those borders.
Yes, and knowing like your imagination doesn't, like, you can't imagine borders in your imagination, right? So that lets you know that they're not natural and like they shouldn't be in place.
That's so true.
Yeah, because if my art is able to travel and other people are able to connect with it, because you might like a song and you don't even understand the language.
It's true. Happens
right?
all the time.
And you hear sounds, so all that's natural is able to like move freely. But we have placed these things in society, like in modern day, and it's like, well, I wanted to make sure that everything that I was drawing was able to be global, right? And I know it's not like, I'm starting, right? Like it's not yet where I wanted it to be, but it has traveled and it has reached different places that I haven't been able to, and people from different spaces have been able to connect. So that's what it means. Like we're global dolls, right? And like the meaning of dolls, right? Like I feel like girls, like little girls, have a lot of power, and we play with dolls. And when you play with a doll, you're doing their world, right? So I don't think there's a little, well, there is, because sadly a lot of the border, as much as I don't want it to be real, is real. But you imagine better worlds for your dolls, right? You want them to have cool things, you want them to have fun. So that's what I wanted to do, like tap in with my inner child and still be able to like have those dolls turn into womanhood. And I also draw a lot of women, so that was another part of the dolls.
That's beautiful. I mean, your appreciation, not just for like your culture, but also being a woman and embracing that aspect of yourself. Because right now there's a lot of fear mongering with a lot of different things. So who you thought you might be totally comfortable with, that may be what society is like, no, that's not okay. So right now I feel like we are going through a lot of that, where there's folks that their genders are, they're transitioning, or an undocumented person is going through some struggles. That is human. And I think that's beautiful, that not just, the culture and being a woman, but also the humanity behind your message. I think that's really important. And we need that right now specifically. So it's really important. And we thank you that you're here talking about it, because we really want to be able to uplift those voices of those artists that people don't know yet. And they're like treasures, right? Like they're valley treasures. Like you're a valley treasure. All of us here have something really positive that we've all contributed. And so I'm really thankful that you and Z are here today.
Thank you. I say Valley Gems.
Valley Gems.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a Valley Gem. Yeah. Shout out to all the Valley Gems.
Valley Gems. Do you have a question?
I was gonna say, I've noticed that you have a shirt. I think it's one of your designs where it's DeyaWorldWide, don't F with borders.
Yes.
And I think that's so cool that we were just talking about, with this decision recently with the city council, how there was this kind of like lack of just putting it out there. I think just being able to just say like, no, this is our truth. We don't mess with borders. Like, boom, put on a shirt, wear it, let everyone know. I think that's super cool. Like just having that, the fact that your brand and that you as a person, like it's more than just like beautiful clothing and these beautiful designs. It's like, no, you have a message.
Yeah, it's not like you're just a business owner. Like you're just like, I'm trying to go viral, or I'm trying to have the next cool design that is going to be picked up by a celebrity. There's a message and there's a reason behind your art. And I think that's where us as community, we can really support, people like you, because right now, all of the big money, all of the big attention is going to big corporations, big artists, people that have the access to brand themselves and market themselves that way. But sometimes they're not as good.
Yeah.
You don't even know, like, these brands that we support, we don't know what their politics are like or what they believe. I remember there was that incident with, like, Sticker app or something. I don't know if you remember it last year.
Sticker Mule.
Yes. And it's like, we don't even know. Like, we think just because, they make cool stuff or whatever that we... But it's like, it's so cool that...
Yeah, that was wild.
That was so
Yeah, he was so open about it.
So
but
open.
I think in terms to that shirt, like, I know right now it's trendy, right?
Yeah.
Like, being pro-immigrant or... And I'm not saying, like, people should do that. But for me, it wasn't a trend. It's my life, So I feel like right now everyone... And then shout out to everyone that's, I guess, feeling empowered to do that. But to me, it wasn't, like, something I just learned. It's like... this is who I am, you know? So the whole like borders was the beginning of the brand.
Yeah.
4 years ago. It's gonna be 4 years this June. So yeah, I feel like a lot of brands, everybody's trying to get their money, it's hard out here, so hustle, but I do see like a lot of brands are turning into like making trendy stuff like that, and it's cool. Do it, but make sure that you're also supporting the people that are actually like going through it. I've always had homies, and I'm super blessed to have really good friends. Like they have really, really shown me they fully support me, and not through the brand, but through any other space.
Yeah.
When anything was happening, like, Azeneth, how's your family, Azeneth, this, and you know how that feels, right? Because having that is different than just someone making a shirt. There's a book by the creator of the Hundreds, and he talks about it's more than a shirt, more than a t-shirt or something like that. And a t-shirt could really like change someone's life. I know it's weird, but it could, you know. So I believe in
you're
stuff
right,
like
I
that.
feel like even through your brand, it's what has inspired me to even be more like me. You know, like we support. I feel like right now, our dollar is worth $1 million. It can be $1, but it has so much power. So I think the best thing right now about small businesses like yourself is that you know where that money is going to. You know, like so many people are protesting Target, you know, like all of these major companies. And the one thing that I can hope for is for people to spend that money in small businesses that represent people like you, that represent people like your mom, like your dad, you know? And so although some businesses are doing it for the profit right now because it is a trendy movement, like at the end of the day, let it be trendy, you know? Because you're supporting someone's life, you're supporting someone's message, you know, someone's lifestyle. So I love it.
Thank you guys.
That's so interesting. You brought up the 100. I literally wrote down here. I was like, I noticed that a lot of your designs are very reminiscent of that, like skater 2000. I literally wrote like the 100s.
Wow.
And like I was wondering, like, because you had just kind of mentioned that you didn't know that you could draw growing up, right?
Yes.
But you like to color, and like you have a lot of colorful designs. Like, where do your design influences like come from? Like what?
So I always love fashion, and I'm a thrift girly. I feel like I love clothes since I was a little girl. Like my parents, I had really young parents, so they would always be really fashionable, and I grew up with them in their 20s because they had me really young. They were teen parents, but I always saw them dress up cool, and I could literally remember certain outfits from both of my parents, and they were very street. So I also felt like when I came over here, I had no clothes. But when I crossed the border, I came in a Levi's and a Von Dushed brand. And that was I don't want to cry, but my tia Licha, they went to the, like, I guess like the Swami in Mexico, and they got us that close so it could be easier to blend in. So it was American brands. It was American brands, but we could not bring anything else. So it always stuck to me how I came in a shirt that was a brand to make it easier to cross, right? But it was it was a streetwear brand, you know. So I think a lot of my design does come from fashion. All my girls that I draw have makeup. I love makeup. I love doing my makeup. So I paint on them. I didn't know how to. I think my makeup got better as I started drawing. So that's like another inspo. Like makeup is very inspirational to me. Fashion for sure. And yes, skaters. I think skaters are urban planners. If you ask a skater where any crack is, they know where it is because they're not gonna skate through it. If you know where, I could be driving with my brother and he would be like, oh, those stairs, blah, blah. So they're urban planners. They know the city better than anybody else and in different ways. So I think that, and then for sure, like the bus. The people on the bus always have, you still want to be stylish, but you want to be comfortable. So I wanted to make things that are pretty, but you could still move through, like, through life, you know, and style it different. I feel like any of my shirts, I could make so many different outfits out of them.
Wow. Your perspective of like just the world is so like unique. It's very refreshing, and you know your brand has grown a lot since, you know, it started off just with your stickers and drawings and your t-shirts. You are now doing events with your brand. I see here that one of Alex's questions was that you, in your website, you've recently, you said that you've recently grown your team. And so, like, can you talk a little bit about that growth? How has that growth come about? Maybe partnerships and whatnot?
Yeah, so initially, it's still, I don't want to say it's just me because there's so many people that help me, like from my print shop in San Fernando to see when she helps me out with like the social media to my shirt printer. So many people, all of those people help you out in some way or another. They're growing themselves, but they're helping you grow as well. But for sure, like the partnerships, right? Like I feel like being able to do the sip and paints, and I sold out in one night, and I was like the first one, and I was like, wow, that's wonderful. But at first I thought only people I knew that I knew were signed up. I was like, cool, all my friends signed up, cool. And no, it was people I didn't know, and I was like, wow, that's incredible. And they're like, oh, I heard from you, this and that. So I always think it's so important to have your friends support you, but when strangers start to support you, it's a different level that you feel like, oh my god, you don't know me, like you don't know, but you still trust in me, you know. And also like the events that I do monthly events in different places like Por Vida, Mid City Mercado, different like outdoor markets, right? So there, like it's really being able to help you grow. And I also feel like I don't have a lot of followers, but every follower, I don't want to say every, but I want to say like 85% of the followers that I have in my page, I met in person. So at the events. And I think that's very powerful because the engagement is different. And even in like my DMs, when I talk to them, it's not like so transactional. They like relate to my stuff in a different level. So I would say that's how it's grown. And then like with your homies, like with your friends, like I really believe in that as well. And even here, like for me, this is like a partnership. Like I met you in a work event, I think, and I sometimes like don't share a lot of things about a lot of things. I like to keep it. I'm loud, but I like to keep it low a little bit. But you meet so many people, you never know who you're gonna meet. Yeah. So it's good to be nice. It's good to be humble, and to listen. Yeah.
No, that part, the last part, to listen. I'm learning how to listen, y'all. That's part of this journey of being a host, has been like learning how to listen. And, you know, like I have this platform where like I have so much time on air, but a lot of the times I'm over here biting my tongue because like the purpose of me being here is to listen to you, to listen to my guests. And if I'm speaking over my guests, try to relate to my guest all the time, you know, like there's not gonna be a good show. It's not
conversation's not genuine.
No.
It's very superficial, and it starts to become like not an interview, like not like a heartfelt interview where we can actually get to know you, but we're just asking you questions like, how are you doing today? How was like, it's
like mix.
Right. It doesn't make, you know, a genuine heartfelt interview. And I'm also learning how to communicate in this way too, because I'm like you, I'm very reserved and very quiet. And I wish I could be more outgoing. So like you being able to share that duality of yourself, like I can be quiet, but then there's also that loud part of me. I like that because I feel like that can be me sometimes too. So you're very relatable, and that's so refreshing, because there are a lot of people out there on social media that once they get a few thousand followers, they're like not answering your DMs, they're no longer part of your community. But it seems like your following is really genuine. It's that one-on-one connection that if I got to know you like this, give me all your designs, tell me how I can support you, because now I know your story, and it becomes a much more long-lasting relationship, right? Like I'm gonna follow you through your growth, and hopefully I can be there at the end to see that ultimate goal that you've been talking about building towards, and then that inspires me to be like, well, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is like a
I was like, wow, okay, thanks. That was good.
Well, I'm reflecting on the first time I met you. The first time I met you was actually at the Move Your Way, LA. They had closed down
That was
Maclay.
fun.
They had closed down Maclay, and you were selling these beautiful jean jackets with your Betty Boop doll.
I think it's this
That one.
Yes.
And I remember that at the moment I didn't have the money, and I was just like, I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't purchased something from you.
But you came to my event.
I have come to your event. Actually, yeah, there you go. I did purchase something.
Yes.
Purchase a ticket. And I have a very lovely painting on my wall now. But yeah, that was the first time I met you. I remember I was like, oh my gosh, Betty Boop is brown? What? So I remember coming to your booth, and then you were like, actually, I know Hector. He was my teacher.
Yes.
And then I was like, no way. And so that was my first interaction with you. It was, and right after that, like, I started following you. And I've kind of, that was in 2021.
2023, I think.
2023?
Yeah.
Yes.
My timeline's messed up.
I'm so stuck with numbers.
2023?
Yeah, 2023.
So, oh my gosh.
Like 2 years ago, though.
2 years ago. Yeah, so that was pretty recently then.
Yeah.
I thought it was like way back then. No.
I think maybe because of the relationship that you guys have built.
Yeah,
even
it
as
feels
creatives.
closer.
It definitely
Yeah,
does.
so it feels like you guys have probably known each other a lot longer.
That's crazy. But I don't really remember, like, honestly, I don't remember how, like, I got so comfortable with you. But I think it was, like I said, through seeing you in all these grassroots spaces, like, we never really talked, but I always remember, like, your fashion, period. Mm-hmm. Like, whenever you're around, like, I'm like, oh, my God, there's that girl. Like, she looks so good all the time. Like, what does she do? Mm. And then following you, I know, like, you go to the gym. You're very much about, like, your wellness. You take care, of yourself. And so I kind of wanted to get into a little bit of that conversation, like, who is Deya outside of your art? Like, we know you've shared that you're an urban planner. Mm-hmm. How do you, like, navigate your both worlds?
Who is Deya? Well, it's hard. I feel like my brother told me last time. My brother Luis, he said, I know you make it look easy, but it's not. It's a lot. But I feel like I had to do it. Like, somebody has to do it, and I don't have to do it either. Mm-hmm. So I could stop whenever I want, if I want to. Mm-hmm. But then that would be letting myself down, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like when it gets really hard, I just think, like, I want this, right? Like, who's forcing me to do this? Nobody is forcing me to do this. So I just keep with that. It's a lot to manage. Today, my little cousin, shout out Marlene, she had to come to my house to help me clean. It's like, you have to cook. I feel like a lot of people, yes, I'm always ready and I'm always dressed up and I always look good. Nah, I'm sick. But, like, I try, not always. But I feel like in my events, I own that respect to the people, right? They're coming. I'm the business, so you wouldn't go to a business that is not taken care of. You could think like, oh, well, that business is not doing that well. But I feel like it is hard. It's a lot to manage. I still have a full-time job, and I'm up really early. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. I'm up really early. Take your vitamins, pray a lot. But I feel like I get to be most myself when I'm relaxed and I go over my mom's house. And she made something that I really like to eat. And I see my little brother, and for him, I'm Deyis. He likes my art and everything, but he likes to tell me he wants to draw with me, right? So I feel like that's when I forget, like, any role or anything. Like, I just try to be funny. I like to make the people that I really love, like, truly, like, with all my heart. I want them to feel safe, and I want them to, and I also think that's why I don't always share, like, how things could be hard, difficult, or heavy, because I wanted to know I'm okay. Like, I feel like every job is hard. Every role, everyone here has a hard role. So if we all start saying, well, it's so hard, it will, somebody has it harder than me, Yeah. So I feel like I'm blessed to be able to go to an event, and spend all day at an event and meet so many people and still make money. I'm so blessed that I get to work from home. I'm so blessed I get to go to the gym. So I just see it, like, as a blessing. And I also have grandparents. I believe in prayer a lot, but I also feel like my grandparents really, really pray a lot for me. And like, my grandpa, like, I think he's so proud of me, and I feel like I'm like the first person in my family to have a business. So he's always saying, like, oh, like, I pray that you sell all your stuff, and, like, it's so small, but, like, to him, he feels like I made it, so I feel like I always think of that as well.
Well, I want you to know that I feel that you've made it too. Like, whenever we interact with you, like, it is very professional. It is very, like, even as, like, now, like, coming into, like, friendship with you, like, there is an admiration already, like, from all the work that you've done, like, where you are, like, at a different status of, like, your life because you put in so much hard work, you know, and, like, that maybe some of it was because you had to, but a lot of it was because you had the ganas, you know, and, like, I think that's something that I see both in you and in Zayurit también, which is a conversation that Z has had with me and with Daniel about, like, you know, like, you need to show, like, this side of you to community, like, you know, like, you can't let people see you sad, like, you, not that you can't, like,
you can be sad, you can be vulnerable,
you can,
but at the same time you have to be your biggest advocate.
yes,
You know, in a world where, like, everything is so materialistic, in a world where everything is portrayed on social media, that, you know, we all live the perfect life, the perfect photo. It's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, no one's gonna have your back like yourself.
Yeah.
You know. And I think when you find people who understand that, the things that you can do by yourself, having that support, it's unmeasurable.
Yeah.
So imagine having that support within yourself, but having it with other people too. Like, what can't you feel like you can do?
Yeah.
And it goes back to what her brand represents about, like, if we can't imagine borders, like, we literally cannot not do anything we want to do.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that's a part of where, like, the American dream was born out of, that you can come to this country and you can do whatever you want with your life and you can make it happen. You know, so a lot of people will say that the American dream is dead. But I genuinely believe that it's up to you, you know, like, you got to get yourself out of the dumps, you know,
Yeah.
she said, like, yes, we have hard days, but tomorrow can be a great day, you know. But if you keep dwelling on that hard day, you're never going to see the sun. You know,
Yeah.
the sun can be loud and bright and clear up in the sky, but because you feel like it's not going to come out, no te va a salir.
No.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So-
tienes que echarle ganas. I think with the art piece, when I started, so I draw a lot of, like I said, dolls and stuff, right? And my art is not sad. I don't make, well, I have certain sad ones, and I could be sad, and it's not, I just didn't want to, my art could have been focused on something completely different, and I could have focused so much in the struggle, but I focused in the enjoyment.
Celebrating the little
Yes,
things.
and I wanted, my community already goes through so much pain. So if I could make beautiful things, it's cool to make beautiful things too. And people would be like, oh, it's a minute. Nobody has ever told me this, but in my head I would be like, oh, people are going to say, how is this meaningful? I'm meaningful. So ask me about my story, and then you'll see what it means.
Yeah.
So I feel like images could break you down, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't make, to this day, I have images in my head that I could make that are really, really sad. And I think about it. But I want to empower, and I want to make sure, like, I make a message. And I feel
Yeah.
like my community already goes through so much that I don't need to put more in them. But we have so much magic, and a lot of my colors are very, like, sparkly, very blue, very, like, joyful, because I want to bring life to my community, you know? So making sure, and to the American dream, like, when we were protesting, I wrote something like, soy la pesadilla del sueño americano, right? I think Calle 13 es esta.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, yeah, there's an American dream, but I'm your nightmare. You know?
Yeah.
Because they want to see you down. So even, like, having bright colors, like, you're stand out, you know, and it's like, you're not going to put me down.
Yeah.
That makes
Wow.
me think, just hearing y'all share that, like, we had just the previous segment talked about, you know, like you said, so many times when you hear the stories about immigrants, ourselves, our family members, our parents, our grandparents, it's like this story of struggle, and that's real. Or that this narrative too that is very true, but that, you know, we come over, or immigrants come over and are taking the difficult jobs, the job that no one wants to work. But we also deserve to have the fun jobs, the creative
Yes.
jobs, you know, like this, like owning your own business. And of course it's work. Of course it's still work and labor, but, you know, this is something that you created for yourself, you know, and I think that's so empowering, like you said, and beautiful. And like you just shared the fact that it's not just the struggle, which is true, but that it's also, man, we have fun. We have such a beautiful life and culture.
I think imagination and drawing allows you to think outside the borders. But when I started working really young, like I've been working since I don't want to lie, I think since I was 14. But at 16, my job was in the fields, in the grape fields in Bakersfield. My dad, we moved to my area code is 661, and everyone's like, why don't you have A1A? But it's because I moved to Bakersfield for like a year, and my dad was working the fields in Bakersfield. And I remember like I told him like, oh, like take me with you, and my dad was like, no, like it's not a job that a little girl could do, you know. And I was like, no, take me with you, and I'm the oldest. And he said like, okay, si te like if you wake up tomorrow, I'll take you. And I remember he told my mom like, está loca, like I cannot take her, you know, like it's so heavy.
Did he say like she's not gonna wake up?
Yeah, like it's so heavy. So you had to wake up at 3:30 because you had to make the route 3:30 in the morning. And I was up, and my dad was like, she woke up, like she's up, you know. And like, I was 16.
Gotta take her now.
And my mom was like, well, you told her that you were gonna take her. So that was my first paycheck in the field, and it was the hardest earned money that till this day, like, yeah, like it's the hardest money I've ever earned. And it was so difficult. And we were cutting grapes, trimming the grapes in the vineyards in Bakersfield. But now I'm a professional, right? Like I do school greening work. Like I'm telling kids about the heat and like how to like prevent that and like why is it harmful. But it's like, no, but I know how it is to be in the heat, you know. And like I work with my dad there, and I remember like it's so tiring, and you get your break. And we were laying down in the first day, we're laying down, and they said otro ratito. So I told my dad like, oh, we could sleep another little time. And he's like, no, otro ratito a darle, like we had to keep working. And I was like, oh my God. But I had for me it was a passing, right, like an experience. But what about the people that do it for the rest of their life, you know? And that's the only opportunity that they have. So yeah, like we're told as immigrants that those are the only jobs that we serve for. But it's like, no, go be an astronaut, like go be like, I don't know, like there's so many yes, a radio personality. People that look at trees, like there's so many cool jobs, but it's like we're not told that we could do that, you know.
A news reporter,
a journalist, social media, like that's really cool. Like anything, you know, even if you want to make ice cream, like make the best ice cream.
I used to get paid to play with dogs.
See, exactly. So many cool things.
Job. And I think that's my favorite thing, that like, you know, like it's a struggle, like being undocumented and having to figure out, you know, school, college and all of that. But when you finally get to make the choices for yourself, like being able to pick, hey, I'm gonna be an urban planner, you know, like I want to do this. Or like, hey, you know, like I like to do this, so I'm gonna look for work in this subject, you know.
Yeah.
So when you can finally do what you want to do, what you love to do, get paid doing it.
Yes.
You know, and then figure out your hobbies in life. Like, honestly, you know, there's this quote that it says, like, as long as you enjoy whatever you do, no one can tell you you're not successful. Yeah. You know, and I feel successful in the work that I do, and then in the relationships that I have, you know, and I hope that because I feel that way, my friends feel that way too, you know, because I admire my friends so much, you know, you being one of them, you being another. Like everyone in this room is inspirational. So I think the Hispanic community, or at least with our parents, for some reason, there's that like competitiveness in our culture. But I think one thing I can attest to is that we're moving away from that stigma.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we're going to do for each other is ride for each other.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's supporting, you know, whether it's showing up through our actions, our words, you know, our purchases. Like we're showing up for each other. And I think that's so powerful.
Yeah. Period, guys. Well said. Well, we are going to wrap up soon. In 3 minutes, we're going to have a quick little station ID. So just move on from that when it happens. But I did want to, before we go off air, I wanted to talk about the piece that you see on the screen. It actually was something that I wanted to talk to you about today because, you know, in the background, we see something that if you live here in LA, you know exactly what that is, especially if, you know, you had to commute on the bus. But on top of it is your art and all these caricatures, and there's, you know, messages. And so I kind of wanted to decipher this with you, and I wanted to get your perspective of what this art piece represents.
Wow. Thank you so much for choosing this one. Yeah, so I don't know. Do the viewers get to see what it is?
So the viewers will not get to see
Okay.
this in the moment, but
I'll share it.
Post-production,
Yes.
we will be able to add
Okay,
it.
no worries. Well, this year I really want to start telling stories with my art. And I wanted to start doing comics. My friend, shout out to my friend Sylvia, that's always supported me. And she told me, yes, do your comics. Like she for Christmas, for my last event, she got me a little comic strip. So for this one is titled on the 166 on the 166 on the way to my dreams. The 166 route is the Northridge route. So it's from it goes through San Valley, Pacoima, all the way to Northridge. So I took the bus for 4 years and a half, never missed it. Like I had said, like school was really difficult. Not the material, but navigating school itself. I did really good, but it was the hardest. It was such a hard time. Like I would cry in the bathroom all the time. But my family wouldn't know that, right? Because I would be in school and they were proud. So it was like, oh, thanks, you know. But I lived in it was a 4-bedroom apartment at the time.
I just want to remind everybody that you guys are tuned into KROJ 101.5 FM. This is Radio Olin. We're coming to you guys live from our studios here in Pueblo y Salud in the city of San Fernando. And we're broadcasting from Panorama City. We're talking to Azeneth, DeyaWorldWide. This is Las Comadres. Go ahead.
Thanks. And living in an apartment, there were so many people living in an apartment, and all the kids went to school. So whoever woke up the earliest got to get the bathroom for a longer time, you know. And I grew up with a lot of girls. My sister, my little cousins, Karel, Marlene, Luis too, and he would take forever. My brother would take forever in the bathroom. So it was like, you got to be up early or else they're going to win.
You gotta catch the bathroom
yes,
first.
you know, the bathroom. So, but I also didn't have a place to study. So I used to study in the kitchen when everybody used to go to sleep. And my family can testify, I would be at 3 a.m, like in the table. So it would be like a long night studying, but I also wanted to get ready. So in the morning, I used to wake up really early to win the bathroom, right, after studying. So in the first scene of the drawing, it's like 5:40 and I had to be up. And then it's like me brushing my teeth. And it's like, yes, I won the bathroom. Like, I get to be flyer than all of you today, you know? But if somebody was going to shower in the morning, they were going to give you the knock in the door. Like, why are you showering? Why didn't you shower last night? So you could shower throughout the day, but not in the morning because it was busy, you know? But there was always hustle in the morning, like somebody was going to work, but there was always cafe, you know? So we always had coffee and some type of pan, like that was a breakfast. So they always make sure like you had to eat something before you leave. So like at 7 a.m. A concha and your cafe. So that's the third one. And I made like the concha and like everything cute. And then the other scene is my dad's tools, right? We live in apartments and they're not the safest, and my dad's tools would get stolen here and there. So he always had to put them in and out, but the parking lot and then bring him up. So every time that I knew that he was his tools were already out of the house, I was like, okay, it's time to go, like, right? So for when I was in school, I would leave the house at 7 and I wouldn't come back till 10 p.m. because I had a lot of classes, and then I did double majors, so I was doing it at the same time. So I had no car, nothing. So I would be from school from 7 to 10. So I wouldn't really see my family when I was in school. Like, I know that happens to a lot of kids because they go out of state. But me, it was like, no, I still lived here, but I'm gone all day. And then in the weekends, I worked in the restaurants. So it was like I was gone, you know. But that was the only time I had with my dad. So it was like the best. And maybe he doesn't. And I had made this for his birthday, but I didn't give it to him because I didn't finish on time. And we would talk about anything. And Don Cheto, like, shout out to the radio. This is why it was so special to me. Radio host.
I like the little guy that you drew
Yes,
in there. So cute.
Don Cheto is like, I don't know. We'll be all there one day with Don Cheto. He's such an icon, but he has a way of telling stories. And in the morning, he would tell like a scary story or like a chisme, you know. So in the car, me and my dad would be like, "No, no lo puedo creer. Like I can't believe that happened." Or like he will give you some type of life advice, and then my dad would be like, "Sí, es que él sabe mucho," you know. And Don Cheto's a young, like he's such a like I don't know. He was just so good, and it would be funny. So I had a lot of things in my head, but during those like 20, 30 minutes, it felt like my world was fine, you know? And my dad is proud of me. I'm proud of him. Like my family is going to be okay. And that was the most I was going to spend with someone I loved throughout the day, you know? And just hearing Don Cheto also gave me like power because he's also an immigrant, you know, and how big he could make it. I was like we could make it.
I'm gonna start crying.
No. And then the last one, I'm just guiding through it. It's just him like persignándome. Like I feel like my family is really big on blessings and prayer, you know. So you didn't know what was gonna. I didn't know how my dad's day was gonna go, or he didn't know how my day was gonna go. But it was like, I wish you the best, you know. Like I wish you the best. And I think we both had different tools, right? Like he had his. I don't want to look at it because I'm gonna cry. He had his work tools, and then I had my computer.
Your backpack.
My backpack.
That's a work tool.
That was my work
Your
tool.
work bag.
Yeah.
Also, I'll never forget the day I bought my own iPad. I think I saved $1,000, and my dad came to. It was when Fry's Electronic in Burbank was still open. Yeah, and I had the 1,000. You know, like it's a lot of money, and I saved up, and I think we went. Actually, I bought a computer, not an iPad. I bought my first computer because I didn't have a computer till my second year and a half. And I remember everybody pulled up with their MacBook, and I was taking notes on paper. I didn't have money, and I saved up. Shout out to the restaurant, the tippers. And that's when I bought. My dad also came with me. And I remember they asked, "Oh, you guys paying with card?" And I said, no, cash. And my dad saw me, you know, and like, I always just felt so proud. And then the last one is the 166. Shout out to all the bus drivers and everyone on the bus. And then the last, I'll read the little square. It says, neither Deya or Topi is my dad, that's his nickname, knew what the day had ahead, but they knew they would do their best with the tools they had and wished the best for the day journey. So this is like a day journey of my life. And then the LA Transit map is under, and you can't see it that much, but there's dots in different places, and it's just like connecting the whole journey. So that was my journey for 4 years and a half. Yeah.
Wow, I'm literally crying. This is very reminiscent of my journey with my father.
Aww.
So my we're about to wrap up, y'all. But I took the bus to school. I commuted from Pacoima to Valley Glen for my senior year. I went to Grant High School. But I didn't have a relationship with my father growing up. My mom and my dad had a very toxic relationship. So I just, he never took us to school. He wasn't a part of that part of our lives. Mm-hmm. And so it was just something he didn't know, how we commuted. It was nothing. We never talked about it. Mm-hmm. But I'm the oldest daughter of 6 kids.
Me too.
So I had to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And so I had to get up before 5 a.m. so that I could be at the bus stop at 5 a.m. so that I had a 3 bus route to school. And then I used to do adult school in the evenings. So I would I would have to commute from my high school to the adult school in the bus. And then from adult school ended at 10 all the way back home in Pacoima. So my route was Pacoima to Valley Glen to No Hope back to Pacoima. Mm-hmm. And so one of those days that I was waiting for the bus at 5 a.m, my dad, he worked construction. So he would pick up the guys, on his way to work, whoever didn't have a car. And one morning he happened to pick up somebody that lived, I guess, close to where I lived. And he saw me at the bus stop, and he's yelling at me, beeping at me, what the heck are you doing at this time of the, why are you at the bus stop? Where's your mom? What's going on? And I was like, what the heck? This is my life. I do this every single day. He's I didn't know. From that day till to the last day of my high school, like, my dad picked me up every morning. And if he could pick me up in the evenings, he would pick me up in the evenings. But basically, every morning, we also listened to the radio. And he would drive me to school. And, you know, he would stay with me because from 5 to 8 o'clock, he would stay with me for the entire year. He stayed with me from 5 in the morning to 8 a.m. And so I'm really glad I asked you to explain this to me, because it was very reminiscent of, like, literally my own journey with my father and commuting, you know. And I'm glad that you have the ability to put something like this on paper. Like, honestly, like, what the heck? But, that was Las Comadres on KROJ 101.5 FM. I'm Comadre Diosy.
Comadre Maria.
Comadre Alex.
Comadre Deya.
Y Comadre Zayurit.
Thank you guys so much. Deya, any last words, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I think to anybody that's listening to me, I just hope you dream really big and dream bigger than you're already dreaming. And it's okay, you feel crazy, you got it, and be proud of yourself. You never know who's going to connect with you. Do things you like to do. Your art has to reflect on things you like to do. It's easy to do a brand. It's so easy. But make sure you connect with it. Make sure that whatever you're putting out is something you truly love, and it's going to do well. And pray, connect with friends, work like this. Don't try to work high up all the time. Listen to the people that love you, and make sure you also give out love. If you're looking for love, give out love as well. Spend money in small businesses. There's so much I want to say, and thank you guys so much for everything. I really appreciate everyone in this room, and I'm so happy. This is my Don Cheto tonight.
And where can they find you?
How can we keep up with you?
Yes, please keep up. You can find me at DeyaWorldWide on Instagram. I do monthly events. Oh, I'm actually having a gallery this Friday. Damn, I can't remember. Yes, so it's about music actually. So they asked us about the art has to relate with music. I'm doing 2 pieces, so you'll see it. It's a lot of Valley artists and a lot of LA artists. It is gonna be in LA, but it's not too far. So it goes from 7 to I think 12. I'm gonna be both an artist and a vendor. I think that's really cool that I get to do both, because it's like vendors and then artists, but I'm usually in both spaces. So if you have time this Friday, come by. I might do one on Saturday for Dia de las Mujeres. I still haven't replied to my emails. But yes, find me on Instagram and find me at the events and Sip of Paints here in San Fernando as well. And if you want to collab, let me know.
Period, y'all. Well, there you go. That was DeyaWorldWide and Zayurit on Las Comadres. We are produced by Valley Views SFV Media and Voces Unidas en Pacoima. Shout out to our producers outside and the rest of our crew who isn't here today. Thank you, Teodora, for coming in and visiting us. But that's us signing off, y'all. Bye.
Bye.